Hi everyone, my name is Alex and this is video number three in this series where I just go through Apple's official tutorial on SwiftUI. I've never used SwiftUI in production before, so here we go. I'm here, I'm following the tutorial, I'm trying to understand how SwiftUI works in general. We have done 2 steps already. This is the step number 3, and I'll just dive deep into this straight away. And just before I do that, I remind you that there's video number 1 and video number 2 that you can find on my channel. All right, so I switched to Xcode. This is the previous state of our app. The app is named Landmarks, and this is step number 3, where we're going to be handling user input. So the goal here is for a landmark to have a, is favorite Boolean property. So we're going to add it. Let's do this. Is favorite. I mean, obviously this is a var. Is favorite, and it's going to be a bool. And if we go into the landmark data JSON, it's already saying that it's either featured or favorite. So it's already set in the JSON. So for the starters, we are just going to show that. So as you remember, the landmark item is loaded here in the, I think either here or somewhere else. No. A view landmark row. Anyway, the landmark is passed here. Then the landmark is also passed here. And there's this landmark list view, which will have a star near it, which will signify whether or not a landmark is favorited or not. So I would need to add this to my landmark row. Here's the actual view, and I'm going to be adding some sort of a shape. So I think there should be something like a shape. I don't know. And I guess I need to provide something into, oh no, sorry, I just looked it up in the actual tutorial and it's saying that I just need to use an image. All right. So I'm using an image name is system name, and it's just as simple as star.fill, as simple as that. But also, it should not just be an image. We need to check if the landmark is favorite, and only then should we show this image. And as you remember, we can also make something of a preview, something like this. So I think in the JSON file that we looked at just a couple of moments ago, the second item wasn't favorited, and we could just create a group here. And inside this group of the preview, we will see 2 different views, one straight after another, and we can see that the first one is favorited, the second one is not. Now, I think something like a fill color or foreground color should be yellow, and I wonder if that's going to work. Wow, it's working. Pretty awesome. So yeah, obviously, we would want to have the star being of a yellow color. Now, what's next? We go back to the landmark list. Where is it? Here it is. You see how many different items we have here, and all of the favorites are already marked as such. Okay, let's take more space for the code itself. No, we will need that. All right. Now we're going to be filtering the contents of this view with a Boolean state variable. So I highly encourage you to watch this video from the 2019 WWDC, where they explain how state works. But I'm not going to be explaining this here tonight. Show favorites only, and that's going to be false by default. So then we would get a filtered array. The one that is going to be shown is going to be used when the setting that is saying show favorites only is toggled. All right. So this is going to be a filtered landmarks array. It's an array of landmarks. It's a computed property. which is going to be calculated as landmarks.filter, and we got this parameter in, and now we would need to return something like if not show favorites only, or a landmark, a single landmark that is passed into this filter closure is favorite. Okay. And then instead of doing this, we're going to pass the filtered landmarks now. And nothing obviously changes because the value of the show favorites only is false. Now we switch it to true, and I believe something needs to change. Yes, here we go. It did change. So now, since this is a state variable, I guess we would want to change it somewhere, like have something like a toggle that does it for us, that we can bind to this value, and this toggle is gonna change the UI. I think so. The goal of this tutorial specifically is to show us how we can pass data through a binding. Again, how did I learn about a binding? I learned it exclusively thanks to the video that I watched from the 2019 WWDC, the developer conference. So we have this list where we pass the filtered landmarks, and the tutorial suggests that we would want to change the list to a for each. The reason for that, I actually didn't know, so I'm going to read straight from the tutorial. Create a nested for each group to transform the landmarks into rows. Okay, fair enough. And to combine static and dynamic views in a list, or to combine two or more different groups of dynamic views, we use the for each type instead of the passing your collection data to a list. Okay. Okay, I'm going to change this to for each and see the difference. Okay, I see what the difference is. So using for each just eliminates all of the UI presets for the list. So we need to wrap it in the list again, right? And back to square one. So I guess now here in the list, I can do whatever I want to do, like add a text, for example, and say, hello, this is part of a list. And yes, it does exactly that. So I guess this for each just represents a set of rows that are of the same type, more or less. Actually, not more or less. They're exactly of the same type. This is cool. So I don't have to register any UI table view cell type, all of this stuff that we used to do before in UIKit, and this is marvelous. I really like this approach. Now this is a huge change. Okay, so we got the text. I'm going to delete the text because we don't need that. I guess the next step is going to be a toggle. So let's see. Yeah, it's a toggle, and the name of the UI element is toggle as well. Now, isOn is a binding, so isOn should be passed as a binding. The Boolean binding can only come from a state variable. Now, I'm not looking at the code of the tutorial. I'm trying to familiarize myself with the syntax. So what I learned in the video, that the binding is passed using the $, and now show favorites only. And this should be it, but no, it's localized key. Localized string key. I don't really know why it wants me to do that. Okay, I guess it's not understanding which of the initializers I'm calling. Now there we go. So the text goes here, and the text will say show favorites only. This is not what I wanted to see. Wait. What? Was this new line meaningful in any way? Okay, I kind of don't like, I need to add a padding here. Yeah, so the padding should be only at the top and bottom. So I do this bottom or top. Failed? Not or, and? So it's a set, right? So I need to somehow... I know what the syntax is. Okay, give me just a second. Padding SwiftUI bottom top. I need an example. Right, so it is almost what I wrote, but I need to put it into square brackets, right? It's because it's a set. Okay, cool. Yeah, now I like it more because we have this default padding, and I think the second parameter of the padding is the value of the padding, right? So I need to somehow automatically, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is working. And I think the problem is I cannot see any animation, or at least, so I was expecting it to animate, and I guess there's something else that I need to provide for it to start animating. I guess there is something in this for each. Okay, list. I'm gonna Google this. SwiftUI list animate change. And list dot animation. Okay, a parameter must be missing. Parameter animation default. Oops. Default. Right? Animation was deprecated. Use with animation. With animation. Where's the with animation goes though? Oh my god. This is ugly. To be honest, I didn't like it. Okay, no, that's good. No, that's beautiful. Look at this. Oh my god, SwiftUI, you rock. Anyway, so where does this with animation goes? I wanna see. I wonder if this is a part of this tutorial. I really hope it is, because I like animations. Okay, so there's also a value that I can pass. Value is filtered landmarks. This is interesting. So the value, what is value? A value to monitor for changes. So this is pretty good. This is exactly what we want, and I am surprised they implemented this. Okay, so as soon as I added this value, the animation is not deprecated anymore. So this animation function is not deprecated. Another one is deprecated. The one that doesn't have the second parameter. Okay. So don't use this in production anymore because it's deprecated. Okay, cool. I like this a lot. Tick, tick, tick animation. Freaking love it. Okay, let's move on. Yes. Okay, now. Whew. Now, the next part of this tutorial, I really don't know what it is about. So I'm going to read it out loud again, just real quick. Use observation for storage. To prepare for the user to control which particular landmarks are favorites, we'll first store a landmark data using the observable macro. With observation, a view in SwiftUI can support data changes without using property wrappers or bindings. Okay, so no property wrappers or bindings. Okay. All right, so this is a new concept for me. I've never used this, I think, ever. So let's try to implement this. Observable. So I create an observable for a class that's going to be called model data. Let's see where it's going. And the observable is not highlighted in any way. Observable. Am I printing it the right way? Observable. What's going on? Have I typed it the right way? Why is it not? Is it at? It's not highlighting. We'll see. So we will move this inside the model data class. I guess why we're doing that, because now any modification to the landmarks is going to be so now model data can be binded. I guess this is where it's going, right? So we go to landmark list. Yeah, it failed to load, obviously, because landmark is not something that we can access anymore. And now I create an environment, pass the model data.self. Okay, so this is something like dependency injection for SwiftUI. So it's reading the environment, and the environment is global though, which I think, personally, I think it sucks. I think the dependency graph should be explicit, not implicit. But let's see how that works. So yeah, it read it straight away, didn't complain. So that means that our, I guess we need to put this here, data. That our model data was loaded successfully into the environment. So who instantiates the model data variable? Let's see. Landmark list. Let's go to content view. Landmark list. Does it expect a parameter here? Landmarks. Right. There's a lot of landmarks. So I wonder if I do this model data.landmarks, it would work. Yeah. Wow, weird. It's cannot find in scope. Right. Let's go back here. Model data. Yeah. So obviously, I think so far it's obvious to me, but I don't know how it's gonna unwrap. Model data needs to be instantiated somewhere. Otherwise, I see where and how. So we go back to the list. Where's the list? Where's the list? List. And here in the preview, the problem is in the preview. So we do wrap it in the environment. Oh, yeah. And we create just a single new object model data. And I think the same way this dependency is injected in the content view. Right? Now let's go and see. I really don't know how to. I'm just going to do something like this. Oops. This should work, shouldn't it? Let's go back to all the landmarks instances in our application, right? And substitute it with find replace. Substitute all the instances of landmarks with model data.landmarks in the previews. I wonder if that's going to be enough. It might not be. Because now, because we changed the hierarchy of, yeah, look at this, coordinate. Yeah. I made a mistake. I made a mistake. Oh, I made so many mistakes by doing this global substitution. So I would need to go through every instance. I forgot to substitute the colon as well. Circle image, spoink, map view, spoink. Okay, and content view. Okay, so now it should be working. Oh, we still have an error somewhere. Map view. Yes. Here. And this is going to be the last one. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's go back to landmark list. Oof, finally. So this is the way SwiftUI suggests us to inject external data. So model data is external data. This data is not persisted or tracked by UI, as opposed to the show favorites only toggle. So this toggle is only persisted, this toggle value is only persisted in this view specifically. So once we go somewhere else, this is not saved anywhere except for this view hierarchy. Now, the model data, on the other hand, is an external dependency. So it is passed via environment. And I do like that this .environment is explicit. So I thought it was implicit, but I was wrong just a couple of minutes ago. So indeed, this is explicit. Let's go to content view. Explicit dependency injection. And it's beautiful. Clear, very, very clear. We can go as far as not doing this, but doing this. Yes. And so now we can go back up to the very, very top of our stack of our application and just put it here. So I can create a variable that is like a model data variable, load it, and then pass it here, and it should work. Yeah, no compilation issues, nothing. Content view, let's go back. Pretty good. Wow, all right. Yeah. So as you can see, we can pass the environment regardless where this environment is being used. So just pay very, very close attention what has happened here. I passed the environment to content view, not landmark list, but content view. And then landmark list picks it up via the add environment property wrapper. I wonder if this is called wrapper. I need to look this up later. Hey, sorry if it's not, if it's something else. So this is the type, right? And the model data is now the environment. Good. Now, filtered landmarks is still a local variable, but it depends on model data. Okay, so let's move on and see what they are saying to do next. So basically, they're saying, inject this environment everywhere you need. Oh yeah, by the way, let's go back to Landmarks app and make a subtle change. So this is a private variable. Well, okay, let it be a private variable, but what Apple is suggesting that I use the state keyword here. Let's see why. Use the state attribute. Okay, now we know what the name for it. It's an attribute. It's a property attribute. Use the state attribute to initialize the model object the same way you use it to initialize properties inside of Vue. So I guess I really, I'm not sure if we need this state here. So they do not explain why this specific variable should be a state variable. Because as I understand, if this state changes, the whole scene is going to be reloaded. And is it really what we want? Or maybe I'm still not following the whole concept of SwiftUI. Just like SwiftUI initializes state in a view only once during the lifetime of the view, it initializes state in an app only once during the lifetime of the app. Yeah, but like, what's the difference? We'll see. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna comment this and just go back to it later if it's really needed, because I guess it is, but I don't know why. Okay, let's go back to our content view and just turn on the show favorites only, and it works marvelously. Now I'm going to create a new view and call it favorite button view. Let's do this. Favorite button view. And with this view, it's just going to be a button. Oh, why did I call it favorite button view? This is redundant. And we will get a binding So again, we're using a binding to represent the state that is being passed from the top to this view, but this view is allowed to modify the state of whatever is being passed from the top. And this is the initial value. We should wrap it into this dot constant. So it's a function of, I guess, the binding type, right? So we can either create a constant or a wrapped value. See, so nice, projected value, very interesting. So it's a variable, no, it's not a function, and it's a variable as well. So this is the only static function, so where we can wrap a constant and create a binding out of that. Let's see what it says, creating a binding with an immutable value. Use this method to create a binding to a value that cannot change. Obviously, this is exactly what we did. Okay, we've created the binding. Now we're going to create a button here. And unfortunately, there's no preview, so I have to look at the code. The button is saying that the isSet should toggle when the button is clicked or tapped, and the label of the button is gonna say, I'm sorry, is gonna say, click me, or better, tap me. Yep. So this is text, and the text is styled based on the button style. So the label can also be a label, and we haven't seen those before. Let's see how that works. Toggle fav doesn't like that. So what's the difference between label and text? System image. What's the system image? Oh, right. Star fill. And I still don't know what a label is. We've been using text so far, but now there's something new that's called label. And a standard label for user interface items consisting of an icon with a title. So this is the difference. A label is an icon and a text, while text is just a text. One of the most common and recognizable user interface components is the combination of an icon and a label. Fair enough. So there's two parameters to label initializer: init and system image. Title and system image in the init. And we can pass an image name as well. Right, so if we wanted to use a different image for this, we would use an image name, and instead we just use system image. Fine. Now, toggle is a new function on a Boolean that I haven't used before. Now I am. Also, we need to check if is set, it's fill. Otherwise, it's just a star. And the foreground color is dot yellow. looks kind of ugly. Okay, let's check if our binding is working. Seems like it's not working because isSet is not changing, right? I guess this is because it's a constant and it really doesn't change. So I guess this toggle is being ignored because this is a constant value. Let's also do this. If it's set, it's .yellow. Otherwise, it's .gray. And again, I'm gonna check it. Yeah, for sure, this is not being changed at all. It's fine. What if I just do this just for the sake of a test to make it false and say that it's a state? Now, yeah, just don't pass here anything. Now I hope this toggling actually would work. Yeah, it is working finally, and also it is animated in a certain way. I'm fine with it. Okay, let's go back to binding instead of the state. Can I do this? No. Can I convert value of type bool to expected argument? Okay, what about I create a binding out of it? Can I find in scope? Okay, what if I do state here? I'm just doing this trial and error. Result of favored button initializer is unused. So what? It's unused. So what? Should I return distance like this? Yes. Okay, I'm getting used to this stuff, but it's not changing it. Okay. Well, whatever. We're gonna see the change somewhere else, I guess. Let's move on. And so we go into landmark detail. Here we are. And we're going to create a new variable that's going to be called index integer and model data. Oops, this also depends on the environment of model data. So straight away, I can see a problem here, which is the landmark detail depends on all of the model data, which I do not agree with. It should definitely just be dependent on something else, unlike a public interface. But this is how it works. Okay, landmark, and the first index of landmark where sorry, I forgot to put where, and we're going to be using shorthand for this specific closure. 0 ID equals to landmark ID. Ooh, this is so suboptimal. My eyes are bleeding, but the problem here is not about the architecture again. So this is pretty bad architecture. Okay, so instead of passing the landmark here, sorry, we do still need to pass the landmark here, but we also need to pass the environment, which is model data. Yeah. This looks ugly. This is getting ugly. Oh, by the way, well, at least we can do this. And just pass the model data in both places. Model data here and model data here. Here we go. No, it doesn't like it. Because, again, we didn't write return. Now, it's not a single line closure. See? Okay, fair enough. Now, index. So we got the index, and I don't really know yet what this index is used for. Now we go back to the body of the view, and we create a bindable variable. Bindable. So this is the first time I'm seeing this keyword as well, and I need to look up what that means in the tutorial. I guess this is just making a bindable variable out of model data, which is passed from the environment. And because this is not bindable, I guess this is the reason. So we have this H stack with a landmark park. And we have this name. So let's make an H stack out of that one too. Here we go. And the second part is going to be the favorite button. Favorite button that we have created before. And isSet accepts a binding. So we pass the model data dot landmarks. And it's referring to model data, which is this one, not this one, because this one became bindable. And this is a single object. So the index should be passed here, index. We already have this, and is favorite. This is becoming a little bit, a little bit complex, but oh my, it is modifying the value. So I go back to favorite button and just make it favorite. Make it something like a verb. So please favorite me. Okay, so St. Mary Lake. Let's go into landmark list now. Go to Silver Salmon Creek. Favorite it. Go back. Oh my goodness, and it is modified. Very, very nice. Turtle Rock. Unfavorite it. Go back to landmarks. And it removed the favorite Boolean value. Wow. As little action as this led to data propagation between the views in the most modern way possible. Very, very nice. So at this point, I was thinking about how similar this is to React and React Native, but this goes beyond what React has achieved with the bindings. Definitely, maybe this is the best UI framework that I've personally seen so far, and I am satisfied as a user of this framework to the max. Although I can't see how I can change the default behavior of so many controls that are represented here, but I guess this is something that I will be doing in the future. But so far, SwiftUI really, really shines, especially with this environment dependency injection approach and with the bindings and states. So thank you very much. I think this one will conclude the series of 3 videos of me getting acquainted with SwiftUI for the very first time in my career. Now I think from this moment on, I already have some understanding of how this works. And the next tutorials that I'm going to be following / creating are going to be about real life projects or whatever is as close to real life as possible.